Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, finally. Okay, long time no
Nice.
see, huh?
Yeah, it was tough weeks. So, uh,
Yeah,
do you have some topics? Because I have some just by thing.
I don't have any topics. I was coming here and nobody would show up, so go ahead.
So, recently we've been working with Ceph on the patch for master, which adding Pi 3 compatibility to tests, tautology tests.
Uh-huh.
And he's going to test something like Radas, but we need to test the rest of the, to check the rest of the coverage somehow. And maybe you know who can help with that. Just looks like we can merge it, but we need to test it. The yeah,
What is it? Is it Tautology PR?
it's Ceph PR, Ceph Master PR.
What PR? Ceph PR?
Ceph, yes.
Okay.
And there are changes only to
Okay.
QA tasks directory.
So what do you want? Do you want like full set of suites to run on it or what?
So we need to make sure that when we merge it, it doesn't break anything. So it's not kind of like performance, but just to make sure that not breaking current uh, process.
Yeah, I understand, but what scope do you
I'm actually not good at the scope because I fairly know the the code base of Ceph itself. And Kefo said that he only can guarantee or just take care about Rados. But for example, S3 and I didn't remember, and RBD, FS, etc. He doesn't know how to do this. I didn't know. He's not. It's not the scope of his knowledge of anything. So, and he's going to cherry pick Rados to some separate PR. But I'm just wondering if we can merge it within the one PR, but maybe involve more people for validating this change. What you say? Hey, can you still hear me? Should. Nice. Hmm. going on? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? It's interesting. I can hear you. Damn.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, I'm leaving from another browser.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I can, we are busy right now with Octopus stuff, but I think whatever you're saying is also important. I need to know what to run. So,
Who can
uh,
advise? Who can advise us what to run? Just
we can we can decide on our own. Okay, so
oh,
if
okay.
Kfir is doing like, for example, Raiders,
Yes.
so we can uh,
So there are 44 files that changed like and but I think most of them they are in QA tasks and like admin socket, dev by, dev manager, Ceph deploy, Ceph use. Um,
Okay, I'll add a comment, and when K4 runs on Raiders and feels confident, we can decide, and I'll run on other suites. Okay?
yeah, okay. And just more general question regarding this release process. So the master is currently is Octopus, right? Or is it's
I
already a separate
I
brand?
my understanding is that Octopus is behind Master right now, so Octopus is not current, and whatever we do right now, we do on Master, meaning that would be for Octopus. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then when it's ready, I think Stage will override Octopus with latest master and we will diverge.
Yes. And what about the rest of the branches? Which of them are still alive? And do you know, I mean, who can help to determine which branches should we backport these changes in order to do topology be working in Pi 3 environment, in totally Pi 3 environment.
I don't think that you can take my advice on that. I think you need to pin somebody like Sage, but I can tell you that Nautilus is definitely alive, and I mean alive from standpoint that we just released 14.2.8 on Nautilus. Luminous is technically end of life, but we're still merging some stuff into it. And Mimic, I guess, is also not end of life. So I would say all of them like applicable, but you need to double check with Sage.
Oh, okay. It's a good point. Nevertheless, which branches do you against which branches do you run tests? So Mimic, Nautilus,
Let me
right?
show it to you. Yeah, hold on. I'll show to you the we have a schedule and
do you have a link to the schedule?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you.
Oh, you mean it's a cron tab with
you know what I'm talking about? So this is cron tab, and this is what we run.
Okay.
So essentially, we do run master octopus and Mimic and Nautilus.
And you already have an octopus branch. Oh, that's good. But Luminous is dead, right?
Luminous, we removed Luminous recently.
Yeah, okay. So we shouldn't take it in account.
I think we shouldn't, but I don't know. I'm hesitant to say anything about Luminous because I think we still use it downstream, and I think we still would merge some PRs to it. Whether it must be compatible with Python 3 or not, I don't really know.
Okay. So can then we can then start backporting them to Nautilus and Mimic.
So I did comment on that PR. So essentially, pin me when you guys ready, and I will make like runs on other suites. I can probably do limited runs because I don't think that Python 3 must pass on all jobs, right? It's probably if for example I run like 10 jobs on RBD and 10 jobs on RGW, it could be enough.
I think so, but sometimes the Python 3 stuff is kind of, you never know if it failed on syntax error before.
Well, I know, but we at least can get some make some assessment on stability, right? And then what we can do, we can switch and do everything like in nightless, and then you will do like full coverage. As opposed, if you, for example, if you merge it and you will break like all of them.
Okay. So, by the way, how did you resolve this issue with scheduling 5-node test cluster?
We didn't resolve it.
You still stop a queue.
Yes, this is really like annoying, but I was hoping that maybe somebody, you or Zach, knows like off top of your head how to do it like real quickly, but it sounds like it's more involved. So they want to use it as a some project for summertime and like have somebody do, work on that full time. But meanwhile, it's not resolved.
So the thing is that from my understanding, the you can try and tweak it with the priority, but you should keep in mind that jobs that are already started and they started to pull the machines, they are not stopped because the locking mechanism is separate, and even locking the queue is not helping if those machines are just waiting in a trying to lock nodes. And what we need to, I mean, to fight this totally, we need to redesign the queue mechanism.
Yeah,
So,
and I can't,
so yeah, jobs are not locking the nodes itself. The some separate process should lock in machines and then, I mean, lock in and then try to provision them or do anything with them, and then just pass them to other jobs. But for now, it's not kind of this.
I'm not familiar with like, exactly how the logic works. I understand it's complex, but I was thinking that, we don't have to redesign entire queue. I thought that if we can add some option, command line option, where we say, like, for example, collect nodes, right? And when you use this notion,
Yeah,
that option, instead of being in regular queue, that particular job can actually lock machines when they become available. So, for example, one node become available, you lock it, and you wait till second one becomes available, and you lock
yeah,
it. Now
yeah,
we wait for condition to be met. So you have to have like
yeah,
5 nodes available,
yeah, yeah.
then you lock it, and they never become available. So if
Yeah,
if you if you collect them, then it may take take a while, but at least you are sure that at some point it'll run.
the thing is that the algorithm of locking right now, it's not complicated. It's very simple, but it's stupid. Because each job is trying to lock machines on its own and without the orchestrating from centrally. So they just look if there are some nodes. If it's not enough, they just wait another try and all the time. And since there is no priority actually in locking, the priority means um, the jobs are started to be executed. So if some other jobs already started and they are running and they are in a queue, they will always be more prioritized if they have less machines to lock, because they will always have these machines and they will always grab. But the job which wants more nodes and there is no enough resources, it will be always wait. So this is why we
Well,
have this
okay.
issue. So what I so the locking actually is in a separate task of a job, which be a case, I think. Anyway, it's redesign. It requires analysis and um, implementation, testing, and no switching. I think we can have more time for such kind of things after we finish Pi 3 stuff.
Okay, that would be good if you like, because I think it's way overdue to, make it more smart.
Yeah, okay.
Do we have anything else? I see somebody
Oh,
on the call, right? Adam.
Adam.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, gentlemen?
All right, how are
Sorry.
you, Adam?
Good, good. Had to unmute myself. Um, just overview of why I'm here. My team, I'm a Red Hat employee. My team needs to leverage Ceph tests, and I'm doing everything I can to understand Teuthology. Found my way to this forum and figured I'd listen in. So I appreciate you guys having me here.
Sure. What
I
what
don't know
what
if
team
this is
you're
the right
are you
forum.
on, Adam?
So I am a part of multi-product QE testing within Red Hat.
Multi-product QE testing. I am part of QE testing as well.
Excellent. Are you part of the Ceph team?
Well, I am part of the Ceph team. I think technically, I don't even know who I report to. I used to report to Tamil, but I think they've changed in something. And but technically, I'm part of like overall QE team. But I'm working only on Ceph upstream,
Oh, okay.
and you are on downstream, right?
Correct. Yes.
And you
Yeah, so
located where?
I'm in Westford, in Massachusetts, United States.
Okay, okay.
You're right. So I didn't know if this was even the right forum for this. I'm looking to leverage Teuthology to execute tests as a part of a larger product stack. Um, from what I'm hearing, this is more of a development framework for upstream purposes. This is Teuthology specifically. Is there cases of people just leveraging this for use with existing Ceph clusters?
Um, I would say yes, but maybe Kerr knows more. Kerr is from Suzy.
So we don't use tautology with existing cluster if you mean that it's something already deployed and running and you
Right.
just need to run some tests on it. No, tautology doesn't do this right now. It's tautology is a testing framework which allows you to deploy cluster, allocates nodes on some pool, deploy nodes, provision them, and deploy a cluster, and then run some tests. So this is how it works.
Do you guys know any? And is this all right for a forum for me to ask questions here? You guys okay with this?
Sure.
All right, awesome. Do you
Well,
guys know anything about Ceph CI? Ceph CI is a Git repository. I know I talked to some members of the Ceph QE team about leveraging tests, and they pointed me to Ceph CI, which is apparently what they use for their CI testing.
So what about it?
I was curious if you guys are aware of it.
Yes, I'm using it on daily basis.
Excellent. Okay. So that is also, my understanding is that is the same kind of concept as Teuthology, where that's not meant to be pointed at an existing pre-deployed cluster either. That's something that it's going to deploy and test uh, on its own as well. Is that true?
Um, CFCI, as far as I can, explain, exists for mostly for testing purposes. Essentially, we separated CFCI from Ceph because Ceph, was getting really messy with amount of branches to be checked in and built, and it was like not like really cool. And then so we decided to keep Ceph for kind of release and name branches. Like when I say name branches, it would be something that is released. Mimic, Nautilus, Octopus, Master, is in Ceph. But then when we do a lot of so-called PR testing. So essentially, when people create bunch of PRs across the product and they need to be tested, they're not merged automatically. So each PR gets tested automatically for some stuff for CMake, for example, tests. But then before they get merged, people and myself including, we actually batch those PRs and we test them separately. So when we do it, we build so-called WIP branches, work in progress branches. And when we do that, we actually do it not in Ceph and Ceph CI. So to me, this is probably one of the main purposes of Ceph CI. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Very good to know. I had not realized that was going on at all.
So for example, I need to test like whatever we discussed with Cure before. If I need to build special Ceph code that needs to be for testing purposes, I would do it in Ceph CI.
All right, excellent. Okay, I guess that leaves me with one more question. Have you heard of PSI? Basically, the internal upshift stack.
I heard something about it, but I don't know much about it.
All right, yeah, and that's fine. So basically, my team is they came to us, and they're an upshift stack, which is let's keep it simple, and it's basically Ceph, OpenStack, and OpenShift. It's the product stack using those. And they came to my team and said, "Can you test that? We're multi-product. Can you test those all together?" And my project manager said, "Okay, well, Ceph was a part of this cluster. Use Teuthology to do all of your sanity and smoke tests on this deployed infrastructure that they're going to give to me." So basically, someone's going to hand me a Ceph cluster that's maintained by our development team. And then I was told by project management, take Teuthology and run all your tests against it. So that's what brought me here today. And so that, based on what you've told me, that model doesn't seem to be too efficient or even that it's going to work.
I'm not trying to make a claim that whatever model you describe is not like workable, but like in my world, this is not how I think in terms of testing. So in terms of testing, I'm not thinking in terms of, I have a running cluster and why don't I take a test and run against that? Okay. Right. We do have like other approach, and that approach is that for like Ceph, Sepia. You familiar with Sepia?
I just learned about it yesterday. So not too.
So Sepia is our lab, is internal lab, right? Which is community lab, and it's used by many people. And it like, when test runs and Teuthology runs and all that, like log files are stored somewhere, right, on some like /a mount. So all of that is actually runs on top of Ceph cluster. And when we do major releases, what we do, we actually upgrade that cluster. So essentially we use like, eat your own dog's food approach. And so we actually run on this cluster. We live on that cluster. And that's how it works. You see what I mean?
Right. Is this just a massive shared cluster, basically?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Right. Right. So I guess, yeah, and I'm not here to say it's impossible either, so I'm just not sure. To pick your brain, like how would you recommend going about testing something that's already existing elsewhere? And if you don't have the answer to that, that's fine. I know I'm prying.
No, listen. Teuthology is a complex and very capable. I can't even call it product. It's like infrastructure. So you can do a lot of things with Teuthology. What we just touched with you, it's like really like tip of the iceberg. So for example, like when tautology runs, and typical scenario, you say, I want, like, I have a job, and the job defines that it runs on, say, 3 nodes. So you tell, this is your job, this is your test. And when you run it, tautology can go ahead and lock nodes for you, whatever type you define, and like automatically will install all stuff, whatever you want, run jobs and exit and collect logs. This is like scenario that I usually use. However, you don't have to use this scenario. You can instruct tautology not to lock nodes. You can say, I have already cluster, okay? I have already like nodes on like different machines, and you can specify what machines, and you can provide actually SSH keys to the to tautology, because tautology need to be able to log like a sudo remotely to those machines to perform some operations. And when you do that, it'll run tests. So I don't think that there is any like, unless, Kurt, do you know any limitations why tautology wouldn't run on existing cluster?
There's no limitations, but it's not we use it on regular basis. But theoretically, right, we can add the nodes to some pool and add the keys on these nodes, and just probably we can try and ask tautology not provision these nodes while locking them. So, and anyway, they have to be locked, I think, just because. So those nodes should be registered in the pedals database, and they're just, it will try to run some tests on it, but I'm not sure that the code is of the test itself ready to do this, because for example, till the recent things we had some cleanup code, like it was trying to remove the the cluster afterwards. But anyway, this is kind of black magic, and you need to know exactly which suite we will not do something ugly on your cluster. So of course it's very I think frustrating to run anything under tautology control on some production cluster. But theoretically it's possible, but I never heard that people are using it.
Yeah, you need to. I think it's doable, but I think it's not out of the box.
Right. Right. Excellent. And this has been enlightening, because basically, if we decide not to go with that, then we're going to be developing a library and suite of tests ourselves, and that is an immense amount of work. So if the amount of work to get tautology to fit our needs is less than maintaining tests elsewhere, then that's a great thing for us.
I suggest if this is kind of like, a long running task and you're serious about it, you can go to IRC. I'm not sure if you're familiar. We have # Sepia and # Ceph-devel, and start asking those questions. So you need to talk to right people, and right people in that sense is probably ultimate is probably like Sage, because Sage knows Sepia like from the inception times. But also Cure and Keifu, Zach knows. I mean, so you need to kind of get people's brains in order to like answer those questions.
Awesome. And those IRC channels, you said Sepia, and what was the other one?
Yeah, let me paste it for you.
Thank you. Right, and I agree. And you guys have been a great start for me understanding some of these things. And I'll start reaching out to the right people. I appreciate your time here today.
Sure. Who's your manager?
So my manager is Gene Robertson. Uh, but basically, my team is underneath Jamie Flynn.
Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar. So I guess you're not. I am under like Shy and Raz Hammond, and
Okay,
you
so
probably.
Shy. So sorry. So Jamie reports to Shy.
Oh, I see. So we are we are connected somewhere
Right,
on the top.
right.
Oh, I did do. I pasted Ceph in Ceph. That's not what I meant.
Okay, got it.
So
Ceph development. Okay.
Sepia is actually specifically for Sepia and pathology related stuff. Ceph is for development, but in terms of amount of people, I think Ceph is much better. And Sage is always there. So you need to talk to. I'll show you. Sage, Josh, Keifu, Kur. Who else? Kur, Zach.
Zach, but I'm not sure he's reactive.
He's not talking about that anymore. He knows a lot of stuff. If you can get Zach, I think it would be very good.
Okay.
But he's not interested in that anymore.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know who else.
Thank you very much. I noticed this is recorded.
Nathan, maybe. I don't know, but
But Nathan
yeah,
is also not on IRC. He just shows up when he needs something, but then regularly he's not there.
yeah.
What were you saying, Adam?
I saw that this is being recorded. Do you guys have a bank of all these recordings somewhere?
We do. I don't know where.
Fair enough.
Yes,
Fine.
we have. I don't remember the link, but it's in the it should be in the description, right?
Okay, yeah, I'll poke around and find it. No worries. Awesome. Yeah, so that's as far as I'm all set, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise. Bye bye, guys.
Yeah. Bye.